Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Sparkle English. Today we're going to talk about the difference between allowed and allowed. This is another video in my Common English Errors series. So allowed and allowed are often confused in English, and these words are homophones. And this means that they sound the same, but they have different meanings. And in this case, they are spelled differently as well. So first, let's talk about allowed, A-L-L-O-W-E-D. Allowed is the past tense and past participle of the verb allow. And it means to give permission or let something happen. If someone allows you to do something, they give you permission to do it. For example, the teacher allowed the students to chew gum in class. Dogs are allowed at some of the best hotels in this area. My little sister is allowed to stay up late on weekends. Now let's talk about allowed, A-L-O-U-D. Allowed is an adverb, and it means to speak or read in a voice that can be heard, so not in silence. For example, please read your poem aloud. If someone reads a poem aloud, other people can hear them. Jason laughed aloud at the joke. Reading stories aloud make them more engaging for students. So what's the difference between allowed and out loud? So these words are not homophones. However, they can usually be used interchangeably. Both allowed and out loud are terms used to describe spoken words that are audible to others, and they function as adverbs. So allowed is more formal and literary. Allowed came before the adverb phrase out loud, and it refers to anything spoken audibly, not silently or in one's head. For example, Jane read the recipe aloud, not in silence. And out loud is more informal. Out loud is more commonly used in conversation or texting. And out loud emphasizes speaking so others can hear, often revealing thoughts or emotions. So this would be more common to use in an example like this. The boy blurted the secret out loud. Out loud is more commonly used when someone says something audibly and perhaps they didn't mean to, and it just slipped out. However, usually they can be used interchangeably. Now let's look at some common expressions with allowed, the verb, and allowed, the adverb. So if something is allowed by law, it is permitted according to legal regulations. Not allowed to. So if you're not allowed to do something, you're forbidden to do it. Allowed entry. Allowed entry means given permission to enter a place. Allowed to happen means that something is permitted to occur. Now let's look at some common expressions with the adverb allowed. To read aloud, which means to read in a voice that can be heard by others. To say aloud, to speak something so that it is audible. To think aloud means to express one's thoughts verbally. To laugh aloud means to laugh audibly and heartily. A very common term on the internet or when you're texting is LOL, which means laugh out loud. Now it's time for our quiz. There are 5 questions in total, and you must choose the correct homophone for each sentence. Number 1. You're not allowed to enter this room. Number 2. The manager read the announcement aloud. Number 3. After the new policy was implemented, employees were allowed to take longer lunch breaks. Number 4. Despite the strict rules, the children were allowed to stay up late for the special event. Number 5. Miss Jones often practices her speeches aloud to improve her public speaking skills. Okay, in number 1, the correct answer is allowed with a W. And that's because we're talking about permission. Number 2, we want the adverb allowed with a U. And that's because we want the word that means to speak something audibly so people can hear it. Number 3, we want allowed with a W. We're talking about how the employees were given permission to take longer lunch breaks. Number 4, we also want allowed with a W, because once again, the children were given permission to stay up late. And finally, we want the adverb allowed with a U, because we want the word that means to speak audibly, which is a synonym for out loud. Okay, so let me know in the comment section how many you got correct out of 5. If you are interested in practicing other common English errors and homophones, I have a very large playlist on the most common homophones in English, which you can check out on my channel. And if there are other homophones that you have difficulty with, let me know in the comment section as well, as I will continue to grow this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next lesson.